Pete Bevacqua didn't sit down intending to deliver the kind of commentary that would ripple far beyond the walls of Notre Dame's athletic offices, but the moment he began talking about Marcus Freeman, it became clear he wasn't simply evaluating a football coach, he was articulating the heartbeat of a program, the values that define it, and why, at a school where pressure never sleeps and expectations hover like a permanent winter frost, Freeman has become something deeper than a strategist on a sideline. When Bevacqua joked that even Hollywood had taken interest in Notre Dame's coach as he approaches his 40th birthday, it wasn't really a joke at all. It was an acknowledgement of how improbable, magnetic, and compelling Freeman's presence has become. In an era where college football coaches are often defined by contracts, controversies, or the churn of the portal, Freeman has emerged as something unusual, a figure who resonates not just with players, boosters, and alumni, but with people who have no practical stake in Notre Dame football at all. Bevacqua spoke with the cadence of someone who has watched Freeman evolve, who has seen the pressure points on this job and understands what they can do to even the most seasoned coaches. Yet, instead of the strain wearing Freeman down, it has sharpened him, giving him a clarity that reflects in everything from his sideline demeanor to the way recruits lean in when he speaks. Notre Dame football at its best is as much myth as reality, a tapestry of history and hero worship that can overwhelm anyone who steps into its orbit. Freeman, somehow, has managed to both honor that mythology and modernize it, to be reverent without being consumed by the past. That's part of what Bevacqua sees, part of why he speaks of Freeman with a tone that blends admiration with a kind of awe. He's not selling anything, he's describing what has unfolded in front of him over the last 2 years. Freeman's value isn't limited to wins and losses, though in South Bend, those always matter. It's found in the way recruits' families talk about him long after the visit ends, in the way former players return to campus and gravitate toward him as if drawn by an instinct they can't fully articulate. It's reflected in the way he has carried himself through the highs of signature victories and the lows of games that slipped painfully away. Bevacqua knows this job can devour a person. He's watched Notre Dame's head coach become one of the most scrutinized roles in American sports, where every decision becomes a referendum on the future of the program. And for a relatively young coach, just months away from turning 40, to take that pressure, absorb it, and still present a sense of calm that spreads across the program, that's something Bevacqua doesn't take lightly. He admires how Freeman has made connection a cornerstone of his leadership. With players, with recruits, with staff, with the broader community, he understands how to speak to people in a way that makes them feel seen. Notre Dame is a place where identity matters, where the idea of representing something bigger than oneself is not a slogan but an expectation. Freeman has embraced that responsibility without losing his authenticity. He hasn't tried to become a caricature of past Irish coaches, hasn't forced himself into the shadows of Rockne or Holtz. Instead, he's built his own presence, one grounded in family, in faith, in purpose. Bevacqua sees all of that, and he sees how it translates into a locker room that has rallied behind Freeman even through the inevitable stumbles. And yes, the romance of it, this young, charismatic coach leading one of college football's crown jewel programs, catches attention far outside the boundaries of the sport. Bevacqua's Hollywood joke lands because it's not a stretch to imagine a filmmaker seeing the threads of a story they'd want to tell, the charismatic leader, the pressures of tradition, the evolving landscape of college football, and the way Freeman has navigated all of it with a mix of humility and ambition. There's a cinematic quality to the way he carries himself, but it's not manufactured. It's built from the things that shaped him: his playing days, his military upbringing, his journey through the coaching ranks, and his insistence that being a husband and father is as central to his identity as being a head coach. Bevacqua's reflections also reveal something deeper, a belief that Notre Dame needed someone exactly like Freeman at exactly this moment. College football is shifting beneath everyone's feet. Realignment, NIL, the transfer portal, and an increasingly chaotic ecosystem that challenges even the most stable programs. Notre Dame, with its academic demands and cultural expectations, has always existed slightly apart from the rest of the sport. That separation can be a strength or a stumbling block. What Freeman has done, in Bevacqua's eyes, is turn that separation into a powerful recruiting message, a brand identity that resonates with players who want more than a football experience. He frames Notre Dame as a place where development, personal, academic, and athletic, is intertwined, and he speaks about it with a sincerity that players believe. Bevacqua knows sincerity is rare in this business, and rarer still is a coach who can pair that with competitive fire. Freeman has that blend, and it's why his players play for him with a passion that's easy to see but hard to quantify. That passion, Bevacqua notes, has become a kind of cultural glue for a program that must constantly fight to keep its identity intact as the sport changes around it. What Bevacqua values most, though, is the clarity of leadership Freeman brings. There's no ego in the room when he speaks, no pretense, no need to prove himself with bravado. He listens, he adapts, he learns from his mistakes. And at a place like Notre Dame, where the margin for those mistakes is razor thin, that willingness to grow is not a soft skill, it's a survival trait. Freeman isn't afraid to reinvent parts of the program, to make changes to staff, to evolve his schemes, to reflect on what worked and what didn't. That kind of flexibility is rare in a profession that rewards stubbornness as often as it rewards brilliance. Bevacqua sees a coach who has earned the trust of his players, not by demanding it, but by deserving it. He sees someone who has brought stability in a time when college football offers anything but. And most importantly, he sees someone who embodies the values Notre Dame wants to project to the world, a grounded leader, a teacher as much as a coach, someone who can balance the weight of tradition with the demands of the present. As Freeman approaches his 40th birthday, the age doesn't feel like a countdown or a milestone so much as the preface to what's coming next. Bevacqua talks about him as if he's just beginning to tap into the full scope of his potential, as though the challenges of the past 2 seasons weren't setbacks, but forging points. Notre Dame has always been a place where expectations border on myth, but with Freeman at the helm, Bevacqua sounds confident, not hopeful. He sees a coach who understands that the pressure isn't something to run from, it's something to grow under. And maybe that's why the idea of Hollywood circling around Freeman is both amusing and strangely fitting. Because something about Marcus Freeman does feel like a story in progress, one that blends the intensity of football with the humanity that often gets lost in its headlines. Bevacqua isn't predicting the ending. He's simply acknowledging that Notre Dame has found a coach whose value extends beyond victories, someone whose presence reshapes the program's identity in ways that can be felt long before they appear in the win column. In his eyes, Freeman is more than the coach Notre Dame hired. He's the coach it needed, the one capable of carrying its legacy forward while building something fresh, modern, and unmistakably his own.